I am going to walk you through my Knitwear design portfolio. I am actively using this portfolio to find a job, so it's super updated. It's not perfect, and I still have things I want to improve, but it's pretty solid, and I'm happy with it at the moment. I've definitely put a lot of work into it, and I hope to continue to update it as I do freelance projects or personal projects that can add value to it. So here we go. So first page, this is my portfolio homepage. You can see the categories here under portfolio, and I have about me, programs, cocoon collection, reptile collection, DZ group, stool, swatch collection, and magiscopes collection. And these are sort of like subcategories or sort of like chapters, but we'll get to all these later, and we'll start here on the homepage. So I started with a really simple sort of title page. I wanted it to be really clean. This dress is from my reptile collection and it's reversible, so I found this really cool feature. So I scroll down and the dress changes to the other side. This feature works really well with my reversibility concept, and I use it a few times in my portfolio, but I thought it would make a really cool cover page as well. So then we go down and I have links to my portfolio and my resume in PDF form. I originally did my portfolio layout in Adobe InDesign. So if I open the portfolio PDF, this is the original sort of layout. I also had planned on printing this to take it with me to interviews, but with COVID right now, there have been no in-person interviews, so no reason to print it out, basically. It's so wide because the 2 pages, it's kind of like 2 pages, and it would be like a book, and there'd be like a spiral in the middle, and then you'd flip pages. So this is sort of the visual overview of the PDF version. I'll just kind of go through this quickly. You can kind of just get a sense for it, a feel, just kind of scrolling through the whole portfolio. The computer's a little bit slow, so it's like a little bit glitchy. You kind of get the idea how it moves along. Cool. But anyway, back to the website version of my portfolio. You got a little bit of a preview of the PDF version, but now we're just going to kind of go through the website version. So here, the first part is sort of the About Me part, where I explain a little bit about myself here, where I've lived and kind of what I've done in fashion. And this is a picture of me and my manufacturer in Shanghai. And then down here, this is with an auto knitting machine, also in my manufacturer. And then here I just have a little video, I talk about let me turn the sound off. I talk about my design process. I'll kind of flip through this. That's me knitting on a knitting machine, talking about design, sketching, and the end of the video goes into my first photo shoot of my reptile collection when I started my own line. There. That's a photo shoot. So that's basically that video. Then we scroll down, we have the skyline of New York City, because that's where I'm located. And then here I did this cool page that it's kind of like a resume map. So I kind of list the 4 locations that I've lived, and I list out what I did related to fashion in those locations, whether it was, school related, like education, fashion related, whether it was like an internship or a job. That's basically it. So Salt Lake City, I had my first fashion design class in high school, actually, and then I also had my first fashion internship in Salt Lake City. New York, I went to FIT, and I did various internships and jobs in New York City. Milan was study abroad, knitwear design, and then Shanghai was also working. And then I go into my design beliefs. I kind of just go into reoccurring themes that are always kind of in my designs, which is trompe-l'oeil, unique fabric structures, and functionality. Those 3 things, you can basically find one or all 3 things in almost everything that I design. And that's the About Me, and then we move on to programs. So programs, this is like computer programs and things like that for a lot of jobs, they want to know that you're able to use them. So the first one, and probably the most important, is Adobe Illustrator, especially for CADs like these, like fashion CADs. So first thing I have is that, because that's really important in a lot of jobs. I do want to go back and update. Some of these CADs are kind of old, and I want to kind of update them a little bit, make them a little bit nicer, cleaner, fresher. And also I have this sort of knit rendering that was also done in Illustrator as well. And then here, this is like pattern and print repeats that were done in Illustrator and Photoshop combined. Also like a pattern repeat. And then Adobe InDesign, I did my whole portfolio layout in Adobe InDesign. So I just sort of put like portfolio pages overall, so you can kind of see my style of laying out pages of a presentation or something like that. And then Net Graphics is a program that you use for like developing and rendering textiles, either woven or knit. I used it just to develop knit patterns. And then sketching. I listed this under programs, but I think it works in that category. So sketching here is like flat looks. Here's more of a technical garment. Here I just have like figure drawings with pencil. Also here's full figure drawings kind of in motion with pencil and marker. These are in color. And then knit machine is the next thing. Because I'm a knitwear designer, there's a lot of machinery, different types of knitting machines. And I do a lot of swatch development or like fabric development. So I just kind of put some examples of fabrics that I've developed. And then we move on to the cocoon collection. This was one of my collections for my own brand. So here's the whole collection here. So this is sort of like the inspiration page where I kind of write a little bit about the inspiration and the colors and things like that. You can see it's kind of cocoon and butterfly related with kind of these pastel colors. This is just hand sketching. I did this on an iPad. I do most of my hand sketching on an iPad these days. It's just a lot easier and cleaner. But yeah, you can kind of get a sense of how I hand sketch. This is sort of pattern development and also some stitch development here and just sort of the unfinished, a little bit of the process of what it's like going through the process to get to a finished print or a finished garment. And then we see it kind of moves along here. Then you have the knitted rendering in the background of the same print and technical CAD flats then of the skirt and the top and a little bit of detail about the construction, like tubular seams and edges for reversibility, kind of highlighting some of the details in the garment. This right here is the technical stitch view of the knit. That is kind of important for knitwear. This is sort of our own language of knowing how to knit basically this fabric. This is a rough tech pack. I think that it's always good to have at least one tech pack in a portfolio, even as a designer, even if you're not a technical designer, because it's good to show that you know how to make tech packs, basically. And then we go here. The background is a close-up of the finished fabric. This circle is the back of the fabric. It's like that bird's eye jacquard back. This is the fabric content and details, and this is sort of a very close-up of the yarn. And then here I have, these are the actual garments laid flat, and a close-up here of the tubular seams. And then I just have sort of a list of techniques that were used. This page just shows kind of like customers and a boutique that I sold in Shanghai. And I go into a little bit of detail about how many pieces were sold and at what price point, just to show that I have a little bit of experience in like sales and marketing and things like that. And then on this page, I just sort of focus on, again, the reversible aspect and why it is really cool. And I also use the same technique as on the home page, where her outfit changes from one side to the other. That's a lot of fun. And then we move on to the reptile collection. This is, again, like kind of like inspiration page, mood board. The full collection is here. And then it's the same sort of sequence as the previous collection. It's like sketching and things like that here. Development, here's the pattern development. Some swatches, swatch development down here. And then into the fabric rendering and the garment rendering here. Again, pieces of a tech pack. Fabric close-up, same details. The garment flat, back of the stitch, content details, close-up. This is a close-up of the lycra yarn here, the stretchy yarn. Here again, I talk a little bit more about the reversibility and how that works. And again, we have the changing of the garment. This page is a little bit more about press, and so this is from a fashion show. This is from a photo shoot. It just kind of shows the dress a little bit more out in the world. And these here were in publications where there were little articles written about either the dress or somebody that was just wearing the dress in an article. This is, again, another boutique that sold our collection and some customers down here. Yeah, and then the end page. And then this is a company I worked for in Shanghai, where we did a lot more sort of mainstream designs. For my own collections, they're not so mainstream. They're very sort of particular for a sort of niche client, especially with the reversibility. But I did a lot more sort of mass market type knitwear styles for this company that I worked for. So you can see here it's kind of like a twilled tweed kind of blazer. And then this is sort of like a cardigan jacket, cable sweater. This is like a 3-color jacquard sweater. Another sort of special stitch here. Yeah, and then another company I worked for in Shanghai. We do the, this is sort of like the mood inspiration picture here. The concept was Rethink, or kind of like reusing, refuse, and sustainable yarn. So it's kind of about sustainability and recycling. And these are some key garments that I sort of helped either to develop and design something like this. This one is the scarf. This one I helped design these sort of like leggings that sort of have a denim look. And this jacket. So those are the 3 garments that I highlighted, and this was the collection that we did. And then here, this part is all about New York City. So we're back to New York. We were in Shanghai, and now we're coming back to New York. Inspired by New York City at dusk, so that's where this sort of color palette comes from. This is a picture of some swatches at night hanging like on a clothesline. And then this is just a bunch of swatches here. This is basically a swatch collection. This is really, really focused on the development of the fabrics. So I'll just kind of scroll through these. And then, so this collection started as a focus on fabrics and technical knit structures inspired by NYC, and then it flowed into a garment collection on the next page. So here we kind of get into this Magiscopes collection that I call it. These are the Magiscopes that were sort of the inspiration as well. And I had this one look that was shown in an art gallery here in New York a few years ago. I'll just kind of scroll through these so you can get the sense. Oh, this was my look at my graduating show at FIT. This was my finished like look, basically. Yes. Yeah. And this is just a little video of our model. And I just like the ending of it because she blows a kiss and closes the door. I thought that was a good ending to my portfolio. So that's basically it. And then go back to portfolio home. So we're back here again. So that's basically my portfolio right now. Let me know down below in the comments if you are working on your portfolio and if you have any questions about how to put together a portfolio. Please give this video a like, don't forget to subscribe, and hit the little bell icon to be notified when new videos come out. And I'll see you in the next one.